Hello everyone, Jan is here from Aroy Mac channel, and today we have with us Elana Freeland. Elana, you know her, but as originally her name, as I just was informed, was pronounced Iliana, excuse me. So Elana Freeland or Elana Freeland. She's author, she's a researcher, she's holding different degrees. And more about her, if you don't know, of course, she has her website, elanafreeland.com, where you can find the About page more about her and as well her work. So, Elana, thank you very much for joining me today and giving me your time for these discussions. I'm following you the last several years, the work that you have done with the documented everything, okay, and what's going on from the chemtrails and the geoengineering, as officially they want us to call it.
Okay, you have put everything together from the chemtrails, the frequencies, the 7 reasons why they are creating the geoengineering and the ionized sky, and of course the nano, and then the plasma, the synthetic biology, and how all this unfortunately are interconnected. And those that are doing this, in my understanding, it's as well the deep states, as you state in other books that you have.
Yes,
right?
Deep state, definitely.
Yeah,
and that's to me my big problem is that it is still being run by the deep state, despite the antagonism going on here in America tremendously against the Trump administration. In other words, the presidential administration does not run the geoengineering.
Yeah.
This is a major problem.
Yeah, I think you are right on that, because the same agenda, we see it continuously with anyone who is on charge. And not only in the United States, we see that's happening as well here in Europe. The governments, they change, the persons, they change, but some agendas, they continue, and only small things that are, let's say, on their level, what they can do, small policies to change. But the global events, they are continuous, like no one is changing. So yes, some behind the scenes are running the agendas. Definitely, it's obvious.
Yes. And for Europe, it would be through mainly NATO, but of course, other institutions and alliances are now alerted fully to the weapons capability of the geoengineering, and so are on the move to defend themselves or develop their technology in any way they could. And it really shows up very well with China, in that we have had, I go through a lot of patents and a lot of papers that are in open source on the internet, but mostly I don't think that's a problem for the deep state players, because people don't know what they mean. First of all, the education in America has been tremendously dumbed down. And so people can't really think in that way, in that their education conditioned them that they do not have a degree, a PhD in physics, so why even try to put things together? Yeah. So people just don't put things together, and I guess sit around and wait for the experts to come forward. Well, while the experts have been threatened and bought off, to the degree that they are, the silence is deafening. And I certainly stopped about 10 years ago waiting for the experts to speak, because I already knew from years of research that that a criminal, I used to call it the shadow government, that there were tremendous criminal uses of power going on in America to silence everyone after the National Security Act of 1947, because that act makes it all right in a congressional hearing or in even something that has gone as far as being in court can completely be stopped as national security and go into private session where deals can be cut. So I already knew what I was facing. And in those patents, you really begin to see the players, many of them are Chinese. At least the names are Chinese. And I happen to know that most of them are Chinese. So China has been very, very intelligent in sending its very brainy youths to America to be trained at universities, work in university labs, and meanwhile, in some way, get back to China a lot of what American research is all about, and especially regarding electromagnetics, nanotechnology, biosynthesis, all of these things. So it makes sense to me that many nations now are on high alert and developing this same technology, but unfortunately weaponizing it as well.
Yes, that's true. Almost all of the points that you mentioned, the patents. Yes, many people, even if they will go through the effort or I'm talking about the majority, if they go through the effort to look the papers, they may understand the words, but they don't understand the whole concept and what is behind and why maybe they have developed this specific patent. They cannot see the connection with the remaining materials.
Right. What I call the context, Yannis.
Yes, context.
And the context, that's where my books come in. I don't pretend to be a physicist. I have a biology background in undergraduate work, but physics is something I have to study as well in order to, especially the physics of today, which is not Einsteinian, nor is it Newtonian. It has moved into what I would call plasma physics, astrophysics, and it is a lot of it, of the science is now clandestine. In other words, you and I would not have access to it. So you have to really understand what a context means in order to put one concept together and another one, and then you find one over here and you put it, oh yeah, that seems to, right, those go together. And that's exactly how I work. And I wanted to mention that I did mention patents. There you see the huge corporate entities, the military industrial intelligence complex, that sponsor all these patents. And sometimes they'll put some fellow's name there, and then you do research on the fellow's name, and you find out that he really worked for, Bell Labs or Boeing or something. And you realize that what President Eisenhower warned us of on his way out of office was too little, too late. Because these massive organizations had taken over the United States. And that's how I still see it. After all these years of research, I have to say that the power of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon in particular, along with the CIA, you can't separate the CIA from these organizations at all, is really the story of what has happened to America. We call it deep state. And it is a deep state. And it has, as Robert David Steele corrected to me in an interview, the deep state is one thing, that's the overarching, but the inside is the shadow government. And the shadow government is really what I call the military industrial intelligence complex. And as long as I'm on that topic, I want to say a word about, I learned from the Europeans when I was living in England. I learned a concept that I had not had before that I think is very interesting for this day and era. The concept of the egregore. Have you heard of that concept, Yannis?
No.
Okay, an egregore, E-G-R-E-G-O-R, and sometimes with an E. The egregore is a sort of human creation of a collective intelligence. So if I work for Lockheed Martin, everything is on a need-to-know basis and compartmentalized, so that no department knows what another department is doing. Only the top brass know. And so what forms there is a Geist that is created by the people who, for various reasons, are committed to working at Lockheed Martin, not the least of which is the prestige, the salary, the benefits, etc. So it's not so much that it has to be spiritual to be an egregore, to compose an entity, if you will. I mean, you think of the Bible starts out and gives us the idea that we human beings are creators in the image of God. Well, what does that really mean? It means we can create things, yes, with our hands, with our bodies, but with our minds as well.
Yeah.
And so by committing oneself to an institution like Lockheed Martin or the government or whatever the institution is, it can form an egregore that then dominates everyone's thinking, and there is no self-correction. There is, you have no access to the people that run the corporation, absolutely none. And now you have institutions running human affairs. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
An institution is composed of humans, but it is not human.
Yeah.
It is not human, and it does not take humans into account. So I think that concept of egregore is very useful because it's not like a church or a religious concept. It's really a concept about where they want to take us now with all this electromagnetics and the nanoparticles and all that. They want to take us into what they call the hive mind.
Yes.
And the hive mind would be the slave mentality run by the egregore.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So I think it's a useful concept.
I think, yes, it's a useful concept to put it out here so people, they can understand it. And in other words, let's say, these organizations, the egregore, from what I understand, the egregore effect concept can apply in everything. But simply those institutes, they have taken it. The people that are working over there, okay, they are tuned to this concept, and then they try to expand this to control with electromagnetics, to control the remaining of the population with this the hive mind, so they will be tuned, because anyway, everything is energy. So to tune all the minds, all the energy of the rest of the population, according to their desires, according to their directions. Yeah.
Yes, and it has to do with tuning us to frequencies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially, and we'll get to it today, especially with the nanobots inside us that we have been breathing from the chemical trails and eating in the GMO foods for those nations that still allow GMO foods. But on the other hand, the GMO technology travels on the wind and on the rain. And that's the problem with weather engineering, is the weather engineering can send an entire cloud of that in one specific geographic area due to the geomagnetics of the area, always tuning it to the geomagnetics of our area and our bodies.
Correct. And I think it's additional to the GMOs. They have put now the nanotechnology everywhere, in the medication, in supplements, health supplements, for example, and then
food.
You see inside, yes, silica dioxide to keep dry the components,
yes.
The pill. You see titanium dioxide to keep white the pill or the cream, the sun cream. They say sun cream to protect from the sun, from the cancers, and then this is causing cancer. And I have seen titanium dioxide even in milk to make it look more white. And
yes.
It's chewing gum that the kids that are eating, there is titanium dioxide on the powder outside, on this white powder, some of this chewing
exactly.
gum.
And it is in the food. I mean, it's
food.
Any thickener in packaged food or a drying agent in a packaged food. It's all nanotechnology, which is not at all being watched or measured or anything.
Correct.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Even the foods that they say less in sodium in salt, in order to compensate the bacterial properties of the salt, they have added nano silver to kill the bacteria. So yes, they have put nano everywhere. Even some smart clothes. There are smart clothes which are made from nanotechnology that, okay, they keep your body always dry, let's say, when it's hot outside, you are not sweating. If it's cold, it's keep you warm. So even from the clothes, we can get nanoparticles, engineered nanoparticles on our skin. So we are bombarded from everywhere.
And there is method in the madness. It isn't just because nanos are cheap. So let me explain that nanotechnology, a nano is a nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. Okay, so very, very tiny. And to make nanoparticles, now there are natural nanoparticles that are in the universe and in the earth. I mean, all it refers to
the volcanoes. We can get some nano. Yeah,
it refers to size primarily. Originally, it refers to size.
We are talking about engineered nanoparticles
now. Engineered particles are a very different story, and it's very typical for scientists to, as you know, retro-engineer nature. Take something in nature and then make it better or different, and that's an important part too. In that, by changing something from nature, they can get around the caveat that they are not allowed to patent anything of nature. That's how they get around it. They just change it a little. And that came up in the coronavirus arguments early on, was that by changing it a little, and there are, 150 types of coronavirus, by changing one a little, you can then patent it. And as long as you're going to do that, you might as well weaponize it. Right. So that's kind of how they're doing the engineered nanoparticles. But the reason that they're using the environment is you could look at this new science called epigenetics. Very interesting science.
Yes, I do.
And that is where you use the environment to change the genetic makeup. And that's what they're doing with the nanotechnology, is by using us as little petri dishes or lab rats. They are able to watch and see what it is doing to us by virtue of either satellite optics. They can see right here, anything they want, or it can be simply through you calling your doctor because you have some symptoms and you want to come in for a lab test or an MRI or something. So there are many ways for them to follow this grand experiment on humanity, with their objective being to turn us to transhumanist beings, transhumanist organisms.
Yes,
that's what. Go ahead.
Because this is the point. You just said why they are doing all of that. Because many people that I'm talking with them, they say, okay, but why? Why to do all of that?
Right.
They have not understood that the objective, finally, beside the experiments to learn, it's to transfer the man and women, the mankind, I call it mankind, to transhuman to the next level that will be part of the machine, half of the machine, half human or mankind, or the biological, let's say, and some synthetic, organic biology and some synthetic biology.
Exactly, and I'm haunted by something that the Austrian philosopher, I'm a big student of his, Rudolf Steiner. Yeah. What Rudolf Steiner claimed was that he died in 1925, by the way. That one day there would be a vaccine that would then eliminate any thinking of the soul or the spirit. And that too is part of this transhumanist desire, is to really to be, for some humans, I don't know if I can call them humans really, to be as gods, and then the rest of humanity to be as slaves. And so what you have to eliminate are two things in my mind, two really crucial parts to human life on Earth. One is the immune system. The immune system must be weakened so that the barricades come down that nature has made in us for millions of years. And that has been quite successful with all the junk food and all of the dependency on supplements that are, as you said, loaded with engineered nanoparticles. And so the immune system of many people is very weak. The other one is what I call the immune system of the spirit, which is the relationship with our soul. So now we live in a vast mass society, especially in America, right? Here, it's so automated, unbelievable. In the land of liberty and freedom and the First Amendment, it is all automated now. There's many AI systems, artificial intelligence. People's minds have been conditioned to be very automated, as you have seen recently with this mask paranoia, and the entire lockdown philosophy has just worked wonderfully, absolutely amazingly.
Yeah,
in America.
It passed so easily. The people, they accept it without any hesitation.
Yes.
I was surprised. I mean,
yes,
they were so much scared that this boogeyman, as Tony is calling it, the corona, it will gonna get them, and they accept it for their safety. In the name of safety,
yes.
They were ready to give up everything and follow,
And
just like blind, like zombies.
so already you see how far it has gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that it's simply the education. The education teaches us to all say the right answer and to be good and be quiet and all that sort of usual stuff. But consider that the next step of it would be, to me, television. Television, you sit there, your brain goes into alpha wave, you are fed all this stuff, and underneath the technology that you're viewing is a subliminal technology that is now taking over your relationship, the relationship between your mind and your soul, if you will.
Yes.
And that then now has led to the weaponizing of the environment and the nanotechnology that has been released and is now being breathed in the blood system, in the tissues, in the muscles, in the brain, because it's very easy for nanotechnology, being tiny, to go beyond the blood-brain barrier.
Correct.
So you see, there's method in the madness, but it's on such a grand scale that it's very hard for regular people who are going to work and taking care of their children and paying their debts to realize that not everyone thinks like them. There are whole phalanxes of global elites and PhDs who have done nothing but this, I would say, for the last 100 years since the end of World War I, when the League of Nations failed.
Yeah, I think it's as you describe it. I have not thought the concept about destroying our spiritual immune system. But the other concept, our immune system, I have made a small ebook, let's say, and I was calling it The Attack to Mankind and Our Countermeasures. And I was starting with that. At first, they destroyed our immune system with the pesticides, with the vaccines, especially after the Second World War. Then our immune system went down. They loaded us with GMOs and completely destroyed us. Then they start loading us with the nanoparticles, and finally with the frequencies now they have taken us completely. And then the countermeasures, okay, how to start removing, let's say, the nanoparticles with the EMPs and the other protocols from Tony and Brian, and cleaning the body and try to rebuild as much as possible can be from the genetic code that has been destroyed from the nano. Because we have reached this point that they are destroying now, we are destroyed our genetic code, and at some levels you can do a small repair, but I'm afraid that we're going to lose this fight, let's say. They're going to do damages that it's unrepairable for our genetic code if we don't pay attention.
Yes, and I want to talk about that. But first, I want to present yet another concept
Yes, please.
that bears on this, and that is, if it is true that our very cells are under assault, and they are, from the air, from I guess the water sources, the food sources, even if it's not a GMO food,
Yes.
if it's grown in open air, it's going to be loaded with those fibers.
Exactly.
All you have to do is get one of those cute little microscopes on the internet, $7. You can buy it in America, $7, 60 power, and take it with you to the grocery store, to the organic food market, and take a look at the trillions of fibers that are on everything. So this is part of the assault system.
Yes, it is.
And because the assault system on the cells, and that includes our DNA, right? Okay,
Yes.
I know most people haven't taken biology since they were, in high school. But so if the cells are under assault, how then are we going to use our immune system to strengthen our immune system? Well, I have ideas on that because I follow a very particular regime and have for 45 years. I studied Chinese medicine for 6 years, and I have eaten, according to yin yang, which is nothing more than acid alkaline, for 45 years, and have not been to a doctor since I was 13, etc. So, but what's not going to help us in the immune system, in the physical immune system, is when the 5G, 6G, 7G are now running, are now up and running, and are turning our molecular biology into digital biology. And so our cells, they are attempting to digitize our cells. So what is our defense now? Well, now we have to turn to the other immune system. And what I say is this, and I may be wrong, but I highly doubt it. If we develop an inner life, most Americans live completely outwardly. And what they call their inner life is their emotions. That's not what I mean. I don't mean an emotional life. Nor do I mean a religious life in the sense of going to church, going to temple, meditating, prayers. No, I don't mean necessarily any of that, though everyone has the right to choose to do that.
Yes.
But it may not save you only that. What has to happen is we have to develop our consciousness. And often we think of consciousness in the most elementary way as being, I'm not asleep. I'm not in bed asleep anyway. You may be asleep in ways you don't know yet, because we are conscious beings. Yes. And I would toss out not only your TV, which I've never owned a television, or your cell phone. I do not own a cell phone, never have owned a cell phone. These are weapon systems that I need to write and think, so I don't own these weapon systems. I do own one weapon system, which is this computer through which I'm speaking with you, right? Yes. So I have to some degree. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not hiding in the woods and, and eating berries, so I'll be pure. No, I live in the world. And so now we have to think, okay, consciousness, what is an inner life? What is my inner life? What inner life do I choose to have that is socially aware, is taking care of the temple of my spirit or soul that I've been told, if I haven't had the experience of it, which I have, is inside me. That when I die, I will not die. And all these things I've been conditioned to think might be true, but sort of in a fantasy way. Certainly here in America, it's sort of a fantasy. I would say that every moment, it's like someone asked me once, Elana, what is the most important thing you've learned to date? And I responded without even thinking. I said, I must do what I need to do in order to prepare for whatever's coming. And what that means is I must be awake.
Yes.
And each person listening to this, if you were to ask me, how do I know I'm awake? Only you can answer that. I know what being awake means for me. And I protect it with my life, you might say. I protect it at all costs. I do not lose myself in this or that comes to distract me, or comes perhaps with something very interesting, but which is not in my path. I really keep myself on the straight and narrow. Of course, I'm 73 years old now, and time is not the way it was when I was 20. But I now know so much more than when I was 20. I can't see it as a deficit to get older. It's only a deficit if you get older and you don't know very much. Correct. By the time you arrive at the gates of death. So what I'm saying is, yes, our immune system is the physical immune system is absolutely essential, particularly now that you can see how they're using the virus thing on us. It will be back. They will be back with that weapon if they are not vanquished, the deep state. If they are not vanquished, they will be back. So what we can do is really strengthen our immune system. But the spiritual immune system must also be strengthened, because I aver, I love that word, aver, I aver that I can stop the targeting in its tracks that they send with the electromagnetic weapons with my consciousness. I can do that.
So
and
you
I'm not.
Can do it. You can do
yes,
it.
Yes, but I'm not. Yes, I have experience because I am targeted. I am targeted, yes, but not like many targeted people who are in torture situations. Yeah. No, my targeting is very specific as a reminder from the people who study my file, or however you want to think of it. They'll send something and I will immediately come into a zone where I am calm and I am in charge, because I know I am in charge. Yes. I am certainly superior to them, whoever is doing that. Now, as far as the electromagnetics goes, we have to get to know that. We can't just hide from it. Yes. We live with it. Yes, I think you can ameliorate it very much by choosing what you own in your environment. Like I have a landline, less electromagnetics. You can have a meter and go around and check all your outlets to see where the dirty electricity is. There are many things you can do, but I think this consciousness one, certainly in America, is something people don't think of. They just don't think it's that much, but I think it's a lot. I mean, haven't they noticed how upset the globalists become when people in numbers appear? Haven't they noticed how upsetting that is? And then they all get busy on their electromagnetics before all of us realize we have this immense power in us of human consciousness.
I agree with you that beside the practical steps, as you said, that we can take, the material things, it's very important the consciousness.
Yes.
But I have the feeling that the people, the majority, they don't realize this simply because it's not material, and they have learned everything to be material. Like some physics, only the physics, what we can see or we can describe as an atom, as they accept only that. They don't accept something that they don't see, and then of course they don't know. If they don't know something, they cannot acknowledge it. And I think this is the problem, that they are losing consciousness because they have focused too much on the material things.
On the things that the senses can see. But all they need to do is look at the electromagnetic spectrum and see how it goes all the way from gamma waves to radio waves and microwaves. But where is our particular electromagnetic spectrum? It's this tiny little wedge where our senses can discern. So now what we're going to have to do, and I'm sure you already know this, Giannis, is we're going to have to develop a way to develop a discernment that can reach beyond the senses and draw conclusions from our environment. We're going to have to do that. And sometimes we may be wrong. We may have it wrong because we don't know enough, or we haven't considered yet another thing that is not in our field of vision. But we're going to have to reach into the invisible. And that's what makes it so spiritual, right? Yeah. Because we can't depend on our five senses in this electromagnetic spectrum, that those who are manipulating us have access to machines that can do that. For example, the infrared. The infrared is huge, and they can see it. And you could buy some of those very expensive goggles where you could see into the infrared. And I think you would be amazed at the reality that's going on in the air around us, of beings, entities, whatever you want to call it. You could see the waves moving, you could see all of that. But can't we study the technology and learn our way around, sort of like Helen Keller, right? Who has to feel everything, the famous blind woman. And she has to feel everything. And that marvelous moment when, in the film and in her autobiography, when her teacher is trying to get her mind to awaken to the fact that there is a word for the water coming out of the spout. There is a word for water, to awaken her mind to concepts. And you see that magic moment. That's what we need. We need that for this technology. It's not a matter of going back to college and taking courses, because I maintain that there are probably maybe 2 or 3 schools in the entire United States where you could study what I'm talking about. There simply is not any access for the public to those universities, those domains of elite scientists who very well know this technology, but we're having to come at it through inference, and we're not able to come at it directly. And so, this is our challenge, and it's also fantastic. It's fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better age to be born in, to tell you the truth. I'm thrilled to be here. Danger and all. Danger and all. Right?
I understand everything that you say, and I feel it, and I agree. For example, what you're describing, we need to open our spiritual eyes. We don't see everything in this small, narrow wavelength spectrum that we see. We need to open our spiritual minds or eyes. And then, but it's so difficult for those that they have not practiced a little bit this, to pay attention to their conscious, to pay attention to themselves. For example, when I was first, I was reading about the mind and how we can control our mind, and some simple exercise. And say, okay, try for 5 minutes. I mean, the goal was 5 minutes, but starting with as long as you can to keep your mind on a happy moment or on a specific thing. Within 20, 30 seconds, millions of other thoughts that are running, and they distract you. And it's so hard to stay focused, let's say, to meditate, for example, in the beginning. And the people to concentrate the conscience and then start seeing the invisible, and not only seeing, but as well, as you described earlier, to stop the attack simply with a state of mind. This is, many people, they find it that is impossible, because simply they cannot even concentrate for half a minute in one thought.
Well, it's true. And it's worse now than it was, because we have this electromagnetics all around us and these waves going through us all the time. And I find, people have asked me, Elana, why are you wasting your time writing books? People don't read anymore. No, they don't read. And when they do read, they can't retain anything, and they can't concentrate. They get tired half a page in. It's just how the challenge is. It's like every era has its challenges. For we who have come in weakened already. Who knows what our particular past was. But we also are living in an era in which we do not have leaders who care about our capabilities, about furthering humanity. We have selfish leaders who are using us as guinea pigs for their experiments in the space age, right? I've mentioned before the space age, that this is how you need to think of the geoengineering. Let me get that. Kardashev is the name of the Russian astrophysicist. And Kardashev maintained that a civilization that seeks to have a true space age is simply, it's not just a matter of technology, it's a matter of the way the technology is manipulated in order, one, to completely put one's planet under full spectrum dominance, under absolute control. And remember, the use of the military term full spectrum dominance, of course, they are including the electromagnetic spectrum to be able to control all those different frequencies.
Yeah.
Yes, but it also includes in the word spectrum dominance, to me, it also includes culture, everything, politics. It includes everything.
Whole
everything.
Spectrum. Everything, exactly.
Full spectrum means everything, yes. And especially to the military mind, right?
Yeah, correct.
Not just today, forever. So then the second Kardashev step is then you must have full spectrum dominance over your star. That's the sun, folks. That is, we've been told, is 92 or 93 million miles away. Not sure that's true.
Yeah.
But it is, we at least now know that it is made of plasma. We know that. So that has finally been admitted. Thank you. And then there are many experiments going on with the sun, by the way. And I do go into some of those in Under an Ionized Sky. And I am going into it in this third book that is almost done. And then the third step for Kardashev is control over the galaxy. I mean, this sounds like a fairy tale I used to tell years ago in the Waldorf schools, in the Rudolf Steiner schools, about a woman who wants to, she wants to be king, then she wants to be a pope, then she wants to be God, and how it doesn't end well for her, needless to say, right?
Okay.
That's hubris. That's hubris. So that's what Kardashev has said, and that is what I believe all of the geoengineering is in service to, is this secret space program. Catherine Austin Fitts has spoken at length about how all the trillions of dollars missing from the American budget, at least, are probably being poured into the secret space program. So anyway, I had to go that foray in order to, and now I've forgotten where I was.
Yes, it was the topic about...
Well, the nanoparticles, let me pick up there, because
okay.
I have something very important to say about the nanoparticles.
Please.
People may think that it's just, okay, so it's smaller than a micron. Big deal. Big deal that they're laying atoms next to each other in order to make nanoparticles. Big deal. It is a big deal, because this is atomic physics. Does anybody remember the term Manhattan Project? Does anybody remember what that atomic project birthed? Well, this is different. No, we're not talking about a bigger bomb. No, we're talking about the nanos and even smaller particles.
Pico, now they're going to go pico.
Picos, yes. There are, I think there's four categories below. But anyway,
Yes.
they are right on the threshold of quantum worlds, quantum dimensions. Now, if you don't understand quantum physics, I can understand that, because I'm still learning about what quantum physics means. But basically, let's think of it in the terms of consciousness again. If indeed we are being led down a path to a transhumanist cyborg human model, who is a BMI, BCI, brain-machine interface, brain-computer interface creature, who now has the internet playing around them, and their life is taking place in the internet, which is everywhere, because the entire environment has been turned into a virtual reality. That is what the singularity really means. Okay, that's where they're heading us, believe it or not. So you have this quantum part. So, okay, when we really think, and I don't mean I need to go to the grocery store and pick up something for dinner. I mean thinking again in that form we were talking about, where we're going beyond our tiny spectrum in the electromagnetic spectrum, where now we're going to try to stay conscious as our consciousness moves through those different dimensions, such as, you may remember the Kirlian photography of the Russians years and years ago,
Yes.
when they were able to take photographs, and very infrared looking, of these sheaths that are around our physical body. They were also able to see at points when people would think. And MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, and fMRIs are able to do that. They can see when the thought arises and there's an electrical event. And so we're going to try to take our consciousness into these other places. Meanwhile, we have these nanoparticles in us, these nanobots, that is nothing more than a nano robot, and has a computer in it that is connected to someone at a laptop monitor somewhere, as your brain is part of the big data collection, and they are collecting data and from the nanosensors that are in you. These nanosensors are built to gather data, blood pressure, all sorts of things, not just in a medical model. So now we have all these nanos. They're all right up against the threshold of the quantum world. We have our thinking going on, which, yes, is an electrical event, but the brain is not producing the content of the thought, or the integrity, might be a better word, of the thought. So where is that happening? Well, that's happening in the quantum worlds, in the quantum dimensions, because we are human beings. We are amazing conscious beings that have a very big life in our consciousness, and a smaller life, like an anchor in a way, in a big sea of civilization here in the physical world. And if we can but think of ourselves that way, it was like you were talking before, Giannis, about how, we can't concentrate to meditate, we can't concentrate to hold this and that. Yes, that is true. But what if we reconceived of ourselves? What if we conceived of our thoughts, for example, as taking place in alternate dimensions? And I don't want to get woo-woo here, where, we're all going to go up to some fifth dimension or seventh dimension. I don't mean that. I'm a very much about be here now person. And I want to apply everything I can to understanding this material realm that I am now living in, because I am very aware I am a spiritual being having a material existence experience, much like Madonna sang many years ago, right? So I these concepts are useful. Okay, so the nanobots, yeah, they have a swarm intelligence. And where I really saw that, Giannis, is in some of the drone footage of the California fires. For a while, I thought I was looking at embers, fiery embers moving along the ground, being blown by the wind.
Yeah.
And when I took a closer look at it and looked at the trees that were not blowing in a wind that could do that, I realized they were moving on their own motility. And I thought, wait a minute,
Wow.
that's nanobots.
Yeah.
They're being directed to burn this house and not that house.
Yeah.
And this tree and not that tree.
Yeah.
So, and that car that many of the people who died in the fires were immolated in those metal cars.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge epiphany for me, that the nanobots are sort of a slave caste now for the materialists who want to run them in all sorts of activities. So certainly it appeared to me that, okay, I have to live around nanobots. I have to live with them in me. And I do feel them at times moving around in my body. Absolutely. So I have to live with this latest parasitic kind of thing in my body and in the world that is being weaponized by the military industrial intelligence complex, for want of a better word, the egregore that runs them, however you want to look at it. So I need to become more familiar with that quantum threshold over which my thinking can go and have its activity, which Rudolf Steiner always said was a spiritual activity. And I need to think about my relationship with these nanobots that seem so much smaller and inferior to my human dimension. And yet they are quite powerful. I mean, if you've ever seen a Morgellons sufferer with the wires coming out of the lesions that have formed on the skin to relieve the body of this self-actuation going on by these nanobots inside, it's pretty horrific.
It is terrible. Just a bracket, I'm interrupting you on this. I have this small microscope, as you said, it's 100x, and I'm checking on my skin, on my finger, here on my finger. You cannot imagine how many fibers are coming out, different colors. And what surprised me, I check on my 11-year-old son, and in some of his finger, he had as well 11 years old, and already they have been networked inside him.
Oh, I know, it's terrible.
And it was terrible, yes. I mean,
it's terrible.
I know about that, I knew about others who are suffering with Morgellons. I don't have sores, but I know that I have as well the network inside me.
Yes.
When you see it on your skin,
yes,
the feeling is upsetting, it's terrifying, not at least at me, not to paralyze me, but to upset me and motivate me to do even more against this, the way that I can fight it.
And it is our era. I mean, every era has its challenges. And we who are in the 21st century, many of us, don't study history. I'm a historian by trade. That we don't study history because, we've been there. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really does matter, because a lot of the judgments we make about the past are faulty, in that they're not considering what those people, those human beings, were up against regarding the powerful of their time. And this is our time. This is the time of technology, and rather than hide from it, or try to, I have people all the time who ask me, where can I move where I'll be safe? And my response is, nowhere I know of, because, this is our era. We didn't end up here accidentally. I certainly do not subscribe to the accidental, coincidental school of non-thinking. I think that we all are here to learn from this time, what is poverty-stricken in America. We are very wealthy have been, not so now, have been very wealthy with material items, but very, very poor regarding our spiritual integrity. And for me, it goes back to when Paul says I can't remember if it was in Galatians or Romans or Corinthians or whatever, says that two things. One, that powers and principalities are before us. We must learn to think in terms of the spiritual activity of our time, what's going on with it, so that we at least understand what our challenge is and where we are.
Yeah.
And that's important. And the other thing Paul says is the most important gift, and maybe I'm misremembering this because of my own bias, the most important gift is spiritual discernment. And so, you know, when I talk about consciousness, I suppose that's the term that you could slip in there, would be discernment. Discernment is different. That's why the AI is never going to have true human intelligence. There is no chance that a machine, even with an possible egregore entity in it or whatever, is going to be able to develop the discernment that a human being can develop and apply to the world around them. And that's what if I have a little silent prayer, it is that my discernment be increased, because a lot of people depend on what I say and my insights, and I don't want to mislead them. I want to retain that integrity as I'm sort of the scout heading out into this strange landscape that I had no idea, Giannis, when I wrote the first chemtrails book, 2014. I had no idea I would end up talking about synthetic biology.
I believe that. Yeah.
And let me give you the title of the next book so that you at least have that, okay?
Please.
All right,
please.
I like this title. I've gone through several, but I like this one. Geoengineered Transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetics, and nanoparticles for synthetic biology. I'm famous for my long titles, okay?
But I mean, it has to be descriptive like that in order to reach the synthetic biology. But
right.
They need all the others in order to create this one. No, it's
yes.
I don't have problem with the long titles that you have. It's okay with me.
Well, and the research I've done into the term synthetic biology, I can see what they're doing. They're trying to keep it in a very narrow category. But the truth is, it's very big, and it has many different compartments to it.
Yes, and applications. Yeah, I mean, on these topics that you just discussed over the last few minutes, the nanoparticles inside us, they are so tiny, and most of the people, they don't realize that the properties of nanoparticle, for example, properties of nanoiodine or nanosilver, it's completely different than when it's micro level and entering in our body, when it's combined with our biology. So they have completely different properties, the nano metals, the same metal than if we will take it, let's say, in a micro level through the food or supplements, but in a micro level. So this is something that makes them completely, they don't have the benefits that maybe somebody they publish or they advertising. Okay, take for example nanomagnesium, it's penetrates better to the cells and you have better absorption. Yes, but what else is doing this nano size?
Exactly.
This they forget to say. And
well, we do not know this creature. This is the important part. And in a way, by having such an intimate relationship with them, as they are in our bodies, we have an opportunity to learn about them. Now, someone whose name I always mention is Tony Pantalaresco, a Canadian herbalist who is doing lots and lots of experiments on getting the nanos out, because if we're breathing in billions or trillions of them daily, which is what I think we are doing, then we need to be also filtering them out almost as quickly.
Correct. Yes, I'm following Tony Pantalaresco closely and Brian 396, both of them Canadians and pioneers in nano toxicity and detox with a different approach. Brian's a little bit more spiritual and with essential oils, etc., that he's removing ozone. Tony, he is getting similar results with electromagnetic pulses which as well disengage the program that we discussed earlier, and then they stop the networking that they are doing because the program has been shut down, and then it's easier to remove them with the essential oils, etc., etc. I mean, both I think approaches are correct. One may be a little bit faster than the other, but I think we need both, combination of both, and then it depends as well the biology of each one individual. Something may work better in one way or the other. Yeah.
Yes, and it's important to know that all those three sources, and there are a few more I can send you, they are learning from the people who are suffering these things and writing to them.
Yes, correct.
I mean, this is a truly democratic movement.
Yes,
because we're all involved in it. I want to be very clear that we have all breathed in this nanotechnology. Correct. No one, I mean, this is planetary. Even the countries that don't have so-called chemical trails, the winds and the rain and the control of the weather system and of the all of the weather system indicates that that this is in the same balloon, the same envelope that we're all breathing from.
Yes, I think no land can escape the nanoparticles falling down from the sky. I was a couple of years ago, I was in Thailand, and then we went by the car, we entered Myanmar, in the middle of nowhere in the jungle, and I saw chemtrails. Aeroplane that was passing chemtrailing on the jungle in the middle of nowhere. And still they were chemtrailing over there.
Well, and that would make sense to me because Myanmar is in a terrible political situation. And I would imagine that it would be seriously chemmed in order to control the communications. Because that's when you see a place suddenly completely chemmed, like before the fires happened in California, people may not realize that the skies are completely chemmed 3 days in advance. Same thing with Fukushima, 3 days in advance. So that has to do with communications. And when you read the word communications, you of course think memos and videos and things. No, I'm talking about military communications, because all these technologies are what the military calls dual use. And that's the important part. And when we've mentioned Wuhan, that's the important part we have to remember there as well, is that I'm sure Wuhan was seriously chemmed in advance of the events we saw early on of citizens dropping to the ground, very dramatic. And the idea that their oxygen had been completely torn out of their cells at 60 gigahertz, absolutely, no question about it. But what was the means by which this happened? And that would get us into the 5G, 6G, 7G discussion, and why they came down so heavy on the internet, like in Facebook, because I have a Facebook presence simply because I have to, certainly not out of choice. And you see there that all the videos were taken down that at all indicated there was any connection between 5G and what happened in Wuhan. They were all taken down like overnight. So you're on the trail there when that happens. And so now, of course, it makes sense to me because I understand that we're moving from molecular to digital biology. In other words, I want to be clear that means that you wouldn't even need to send a virus.
Correct.
All you need is its signature. All you need is its signature that can be digitized. Yeah. And then you can send it. Do you see how this implicates the nanobots in us? Do you see? Yeah. You understand?
No, I fully agree. I mean, we know that with first of all of us in our DNA have a specific resonance frequency. Okay?
We do.
So when they know our frequency, resonance frequency, they can easily target us with a specific frequency. You can be in the same room, you and me, and they target me, and you will not, you are sitting next to me, and you will have no effect, but I will have, because they have tuned on my frequency.
And that the term for that is evoked potential.
Evoked potential, okay.
You have a specific evoked potential, and I have another one.
Another one.
Like
okay,
that.
Thanks for that. Yeah. And then the part of the frequency of the 5G, the 60 gigahertz, yes, it's true that it's it changes the spin of the oxygen. The oxygen absorbs the energy and then changes the spin of the oxygen molecule. And then when we inhale it, it cannot bound with the hemoglobin because the change of spin, it's changed the property, so it cannot bound with our body. And for Wuhan, I think that what happened, yes, they were hit with frequencies. I have the opinion that it was 6G.
And it was what?
6G, the infrared frequencies, because the infrared can reach 4 inches down in our body, can penetrate. The 6G, it will stay in our skin. It will affect the oxygen, yes, but so the people, they will have respiratory issues, but they will not fall down just like flies. But I think the 6G hit them, infrared, penetrate inside the bodies and destroy the mitochondria in heart and the brain, and then the ATP, and they just collapsed immediately. The other guy, he was running and suddenly, boof, fall down, or walking on the mall. These people, they were not sick. If you are sick with a cold or flu, even corona virus, which is the flu, the cold, okay, you stay, the serious one, you stay home. You cannot move to go from bed to the toilet, let's say, not to be outside on the road or in the mall. So I think these people, yes, they have been hit with frequencies, this is for sure. And I have the impression that it was 6G with the infrared range and high amplitude, the power.
Yeah. I would not argue that at all, because I think the 5G moved us into the millimeter waves.
Yeah.
And from there on, they could lie to us till kingdom come about what's going on. And I did just get an article the other day. I haven't had time to research it or anything, but it's countries using the ultra-fast 7G and 8G network. And it is from Europe. And it names different, let me see if there's just, okay, South Korea, Norway, Sweden, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Finland, Singapore, Japan, Denmark, and of course the United States. So 7G, well, what would that mean? It's just more of the same, tinier and tinier. That's all.
I have seen a video from India about a year ago talking about 7G. And actually what they were saying, that they are using the nano in ourselves, because now we are antenna, and we are the antenna. We don't need the mobile to communicate. The emitting and communicate with us without a device between us and the other side, because they are using the nano that have been already networked inside us with this frequency. And I was, wow.
Well, that has to do, and to me, 6G can do that, but maybe it is 7G. What they want to do is to have the internet completely around us all the time, so that all of our reality, in order to discern this world as we see it now from what the internet is leading us into, which is a virtual reality, with a 7G environment, we won't necessarily be able to do that. So you will need some sort of possible status to have access to the real world, to go out and have a real nature experience. As you know, they're driving all of us off of the state parks and all of the beautiful natural habitats for the global elite. So it's very possible. And I actually read a novel several months ago, just to get an idea of it. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. I'll try to send it to you. And in which he very well showed me a picture of how it will probably work. And it will literally be sort of like Tom Cruise in The Minority Report, where he has this big screen in front of him, and he's moving things around. He has special gloves, and he's moving, and he's going into people's houses and looking at them and that sort of thing. Imagine that the entire world is that sort of a screen. You go from one screen to another, or you enter one screen and then it'll lead you to another. The internet will eventually be, we are, as you said, we are the antenna, we are the means by which it is being played. And if they want to play a particular one for you, separate from the people around you, they will play one for you. And you know, we're still physical beings at that point. But at what point will we not? Because they now have also a program in which they are creating virtual selves of us that AI will be able to absolutely control. And then that AI version of us will then direct our nervous system. So that may actually be how we experience the world as an internet because of our virtual selves that are running our physical lives. I know it sounds really crazy, but that's called the SWS, the Sentient World Simulation. And you can find a white paper by the military about sentient world simulation. And that is definitely going on. I am in touch with some targeted individuals who are being virtually downloaded into another form of their lives and being fed things through that virtual simulation to their own minds.
I have the feeling that a group of people, they will be in that group, so they will be downloaded a specific reality. Another group of people that they are connected with AI and all this technology will be used simply as a computing power, using our DNA as a computing power for the AI energy source, batteries for them. So, and then we're going to have the elite or the controllers, whoever, potentially those that they will try to be as clean as possible from all of that. And then the remaining of the mankind or the people that they will keep alive, because they have the plans as well to exterminate a big number of people, but who they will keep the remaining of us as slaves, not that much for the work, because most of the work will be done from robots, but it will be the power for the AI.
And they are already using these scenarios as their entertainment. They pay thousands of dollars to watch tortures of people in their homes, on the street, the homeless, whoever. The level of evil is quite extraordinary, quite shocking when you begin to get into it. But at the same time, let's look at this as in a systemic way. It's systemic how this works, but we have to learn as exactly as possible how it works, all the way from what I called in the last book, the space fence lockdown, which has to do with the satellites up here, the nano sensors that have been laid in the trillions, the conductive metals, the aluminum, barium, strontium, etc., all up above the planet, all conductive, right? And then down here we have the network of infrastructure, all run by Lockheed Martin, I might add, and sandwiched between is our human existence now. Okay, we're already there. That's how it is. So now, if it's going down, okay, let's go down one level at a time. We've got the nanos coming down. We're breathing them in. They're in our bodies. They're in our environment. They're there for starting fires, for anything that they want. So you have this this structure. And then all along, you have this electromagnetic frequency forest of antennas and electromagnetic fields and all of that. So you got to, for a while, some people what were they doing? They were trying to get rid of the cell towers, thinking that would do it. Like get the cell towers out. Well, actually, the cell towers won't work anymore because they have such small phased array antennas everywhere now. They're in the pavement, they're in the walls, they're, in smart cities anyway. So now we can see that we need to learn how this system works from top to bottom so that we can find the real weaknesses in it. Because, intuitively, I know this is not going to work for world empire. This is not going to work. But how long that is, how long in the future that is, I really don't know. I don't have a sense of that. So I'm paying very close attention to, or trying to, by learning and how the system, all the different components of the system, and as much as I can in a sort of overarching way to just be able to see the whole thing. Because truthfully, most people, and when I'm talking most people, I don't mean just the public at large. I mean the people who are thinkers, even people interested in geoengineering with whom I communicate. They can't hold that all as one picture. To my knowledge, I am the only person who so far sees how it really is all one big machine. It's one big machine turning the earth into a machine, and the human being as you're saying, the slave component to take care of the machine, and then provide entertainment of a tortuous murder type for very fallen souls that compliment themselves on being so powerful.
Yeah. I think this is exactly what's happening, and this ties very well with what you said earlier when you quoted Paul, which was in Ephesians 6, that we are fighting against the principalities and the Lord of the air, whatever, which is the evil forces. So we don't fight with flesh and blood, but we are spiritual creatures.
Yes.
And I believe because of that as well, we need, first of all, to be aware about that, so we can adjust our strategy accordingly. But our emotions, our spirituality, our conscience, be right and know if we know the enemy, even if he's very fearful and powerful, we can fight because we know the enemy. But if we don't know with what we are doing, with what we have to deal with, then the chances to win or to survive are
negligible.
Dramatically. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I mean, I learned that from reading the autobiography and a couple of biographies of George Patton, the General George Patton in World War II. I admired him immensely. He was a great soldier. He even had reincarnation memories of having fought in the Peloponnesian during the Peloponnesian Wars of Greece. Can you imagine? I mean, and he was, you know how he was. He had a real toilet mouth. He was but he would say whatever was true for him, and he was just a tremendous. I mean, even the German General Rommel said that the Allied forces had only one great general, and that was Patton. And what he said is, before every war, every battle, he would go over the wars, the Gallic Wars of Caesar. He would go over these ancient wars to study how it had been done, and he would take a close scrutiny of the weather. And he was, the Third Army never lost. I mean, and then they killed him because he was going to come back to the United States and talk about the deal that had been cut with the Nazis. So anyway, I learned that from him, that you must study the terrain, you must study the enemy to the nth degree of your ability in order to understand what you're up against. And then you can start to marshal your forces.
Exactly. And similar principles, or one of this is one of the principles that is as well written in the book, The Art of War, from the Chinese, I forgot now his name, the general, which very ancient.
Oh no, that is Trump's favorite book I've read.
Oh yeah, okay. I have read it now already 5 years ago, and I.
Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is his name. Yes, and I had read that book 3 times when I write people's books for them for money, and I had done that for a CEO. So I had to read that book 3 times, and I thought, wow, this is brilliant. So I've been watching Trump very carefully.
Okay.
He uses Sun Tzu all the time.
Okay, I have not paid attention to that, but yes,
he's baiting his enemy.
It's fundamental. It's fundamental if we.
It's so good
to know our enemy if we want to have any chance for moving on
and you do not need violence. You don't need to call on violence. It's like the mind. It's again your thinking, your consciousness.
This is
you're utilizing this wonderful human gift, this wonderful human skill.
Yes. I think from our conversations today so far, this is which, let's say, I take out many of the things that we have discussed. It's known for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me, a very important element that everybody should remember, targeted or not. Everybody are targeted anyway, but it has been already exposed to that or not, is the conscious, to be conscious of what's happening. And it will be very interesting to learn techniques how you can use this conscious as a defense. As you mentioned, you have been able to stop some attack at a certain level simply with a conscious. And this, I think this ties with something another targeted individual, which I have interviewed, Nicola, or she has presented her experience. I did not interview, she just recorded her experience. And after she realized what is happening, etc., one of the methods, techniques that now she's using to overcome the attacks is conscious. She's aware about that.
Yes.
And okay, she's doing some others which I don't know the details, besides the Adinano protocol from Tony Panteleresco and Brian. But she's using as well her mind, her conscience, to defend the attacks. And this, I think, for me, this is a big highlight of our discussions today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to correct something, at least in my mind. Emotions are not part of consciousness. Emotions, to me, I'm not very emotional. I admit it. I have deep feelings, very deep feelings, and because I'm a deep soul. But emotions are like weather. They come, they go. You feel this way, you feel that way. But if ever your emotions become automatic, and I see it all the time here, mention the word Trump in this town I live in, and people go crazy, ballistic. If that happens to you, if you have no thinking between what you just heard and your emotions, consider the fact that you have been programmed, you have been conditioned, and that is not from you. That is from probably media. And I particularly see it in people who own televisions. And I'm very serious. I couldn't be more serious. Television is a dangerous, dangerous technology now because they have state-of-the-art subliminals in TV. So if you feel you can't do without some show or something, good luck in your slavery, because it's how it works. It's how it works. And if you want to have real freedom, and a lot of people seem to be defining freedom, in America anyway, I don't know about where you live, as convenience, as access to convenience and comfort. Well, that is not freedom. That's not freedom at all. In fact, that may be your very enemy to realizing what true freedom really means. I remember Rudolf Steiner saying that the time will come in the far distant future when, if we achieve our humanity, people will not be able to sleep if they know someone is in pain.
I hear what you say. Yeah, I understand.
That's a long way away, right? That's a long way away. But for some of us, it's not. So, why have I worked so hard for 10 years on this? Because I can see what it is. And is our humanity guaranteed? No, it isn't. Not anymore. Don't think that it's all going to all turn out okay because the divine world will take care of everything, or Jesus will take care of everything, or whoever. No, it's not a guarantee now. This is a full-on spiritual war.
It is a spiritual war, yeah.
For humanity to continue its evolution in the slow, self-conscious, experiential way it has done for millions of years. I do not want something faster. I do not want machines turning us into something that NASA or whoever can take into space as a machine, sort of like in the film, which I considered pre-programming, Prometheus, the film series Prometheus. I do not want a David to be doing all the chores I don't want to do. I don't think that's freedom at all.
I think many people, nowadays, the majority of the people nowadays, not only in the US, but worldwide. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Oh, do you hear me now?
I don't hear you.
See, I think this is our friends. This is our friends saying, hi, we're here. Don't leave us out. Can you hear me now?
Hold on a second.
You're gone again. Yeah, no.
Now?
Yes?
Okay. I don't know why suddenly I got a message.
No, I'm serious. It happens all the time to me in interviews that there'll be an interference, just as if they're saying we're here. It's not dangerous.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A game. It's a game.
Yeah. So talking about freedom, I was saying that the majority of the people worldwide, they consider freedom, or they think they are free because they have choices of shopping, choices of going somewhere, and they consider this freedom. This is not freedom. This is they have given us privilege, and now if we don't comply with the new rules that they will try to impose of us, okay, this privilege they will start going away, like it's happening in China with the credit score, the social scoring. Okay, if we are a good citizen, then we are allowed to do this and this and this things that now we consider as right, as our rights. No, they will be
privileges. Yeah.
And if you are a good boy, good girl, then okay, you can enjoy some of the privilege. But if you are not according to what we are telling you, if you are not obedient, then this privilege they will go away. There is no freedom.
No.
Everything are regulated. You cannot grow, let's say, whatever we want to grow. We can make an alcohol and sell it in the market. We can grow marijuana and sell it to others. We don't have this freedom. Everything is regulated. And this is one aspect of the freedom. Freedom is not only this.
Well, and this is all being followed. As they make their lists. I realized that a long time ago, that the so-called freedom on the internet and phone were all being recorded for future use if they needed it. So that I'm always aware of that. I don't even consider privacy in my life anymore. I don't have any privacy really.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm aware that whatever I'm doing, it's not private. It's private maybe from my neighbors or the people in the next town. They don't know me, but those that they want to know, these are so easy to find out. So easy to find out.
Yeah.
And they are monitoring. They are monitoring us for everything. And as you said before, I think we are on a war. This is the third world war against mankind. Okay, with the AI, with the pharma. The pharma they try to, as a song was saying in the past, I forgot the title of the song, but one of the lyrics will say, poisoning the brainwashed minds. So now they want to poison us, brainwash from the TV, as you mentioned, the media, that they brainwash not only for politicals, for the Trumps, but as well, the dangerous, we have to wear the mask. They just brainwash, and the people, they don't think. I have exemption. So I request exemption from my medical doctor. After long discussions and conversation, finally he gave me exception after 30 minutes of usage of the mask. But you see the people, in the metro here, in Switzerland, it's in Europe, usage of the public transportation, it's very convenient. It's sometimes faster than using your car to go to work or wherever. So we are commuting a lot. We're commuting
Convenience
a lot.
and comfort. Convenience and comfort.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and you see the people inside the public transportation. Some of them, okay, they are fearful. And even, let's say, they don't want to be close to another person, even if they are wearing the masks. Others, they are just wearing the mask under the nose because they cannot breathe. But when I'm walking inside, sometimes I have the face seal, the plastic seal, but they are looking so strange. And they have this, they look, with disapproval, or they consider you are the dangerous one, you are the stupid, you are the cause of the problem, you're going to make me sick because I will be sick because of you. Come on, it's not the mask that's going to protect you, it's your immune system, so take care of your immune system.
Yeah, but it's just the beginning of the slavery being more obvious, that's all.
Yeah.
These are all slaves. And at least you can see them. And I think this will continue, this mask thing. And we will be able to discern it better. I just wish I could do a survey to find out how many of those people have TVs. I would assume they all do, because most people
20%. Some they have two in the house.
Well, in every bedroom. My mother had that for her second family. It was amazing. So yes, I'm rather naive in thinking that there are many people at all who don't have a television. But I certainly hope that people have heard me. The camera is always on in the television, even if it's off, if the TV is off. The microphone is always on, even if the TV is off. I mean, get that straight. And then there's the programming that you're being inundated by. I mean, to me, it's a huge, if there were a way to make them all disappear at once, I wonder what would change. I think a lot would change, because the cell phones certainly are a more sophisticated version, where the cell phone, because you're holding it and it's close to you, even if you're on microphone, that means it's directly in touch with your nervous system. So pulsing you with, if you have emotions, that emotional things that happen to you that come out of nowhere, or you wake up with a bad mood or whatever, consider the possibility that you have been pulsed. And my guess is probably everybody in your area has been pulsed as well with a very similar emotion. So when there's violence in the streets, such as recently in America with the Black Lives Matter, et cetera, and Antifa, I would imagine that a great deal of pulsing was going on, because all of those kids involved in that all communicate much like targeters or gaslighters communicate through the cell phone. So they're all being pulsed with a particular kind of emotion. And that too is important to understand, that the phone can be used, the iPhone can be used to pulse you, whether it's on or off, whether it's in airplane mode or not. It is a weapon system. I want to be very clear about that. Do you think that why do you think the military had it for 2 generations themselves to work out all the kinks, and then gave the cell phone to the consumers and the corporations that wanted to profit from it? This is not just about profit. This is about full spectrum dominance.
Yes, exactly. It's full spectrum dominance, yeah. And, the mask thing, or general, not only the mask, but everything. If someone is not aware about something, for example, if he's not aware that he's programmed from the TV, or we're talking about this example, or if he's not aware about something that's existing, even if it's in front of him, his eyes, his brain will not register it. It will be in front of him or her, but he will not be able, this person, to register in his brain that this exists, simply because he's not aware. And they try, of course, with any power that they have, to keep the people in the dark, not to learn. Not, for example, the importance of the conscience that you said before. If everybody knew, and they would try to raise their conscience level, the frequency, we would have less much problems. But they are not aware. And so when we are talking about things that they are not aware, even if they are real, material or not, or spiritual, since they are rejecting it, they put the label to the messenger, simply because they cannot stand, because they don't understand. And second, I think some of them, it's hard to admit inside them, the ego, that okay, for so many years they have been wrong or they have been foolish, so they prefer to close their eyes and their ears, spiritual and physical, just to avoid the reality and get hurt their ego as well. And this is, I think, another reason why many people, they choose to remain blind. Because
yes,
and it's a choice. It's a choice. Now it's a choice. We are living in the era that the information is there. It's just a matter of somebody to look for it.
I think it's also that what people don't realize in America, they think it's just their personal, it's just personal. And they choose not to participate in politics, or they choose to think this and not that. And they don't realize that we're all sort of tied in together. And this is what makes it, being human, so interesting, is we have this thrust, which is very real now since, I want to say since the Enlightenment, but I would say for sure since the 60s, because I am a 60s holdover, you might call me.
Okay.
Yes, it was manipulated by the CIA, the entire 60s. That's what my Sub Rosa America books are really about. It was entirely manipulated through the drugs, through the rock and roll, through a lot of the distractive elements to the 60s. But that the 60s was when a certain consciousness was obviously being born, and it was obvious that the CIA, with its high connections to the globalists that it serves, were aware that there was a new impulse coming in, and that impulse was a very high degree of individualism. Yes, America's always been known for individualism since we had Henry David Thoreau, we had Walt Whitman, we had Ralph Waldo Emerson. We've always had a reputation for individualism. But whether or not that was true in a broad sense, not necessarily so. So to me, I experienced directly the 60s impulse that came in of tremendous individualism. Of course, a lot of that individualism through the rock and roll, through the drugs, through the clothes, through all the things that are things, was weakened and made into a TV show, news article, magazine article kind of thing. But that does not belie the fact that there was a true impulse that came in, and that the CIA was directed, I feel, to divert and not to allow it to really do something, such as the civil rights movement, such as our three greats that my generation basically loved, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy. Well, they had to get rid of them as fast as they could and traumatize all of us. And we were traumatized, absolutely. And that was just as we were coming of age, as it's called, between 19 and 21, 22. So So that individualism is running tandem with a real collective fact that humanity is one race. We're all connected. And that's why has been true for thousands of years at least, that just a few individuals can pour everything they have into humanity, and amazing things can happen where humanity is salvaged or saved from one extremity or another. I mean, just consider World War I. I mean, an entire generation of European youth were wiped out. Millions. By what? Oh, by chemicals. How about that? Talk about big pharma.
Right.
So, we can recover. We can recover because we always have a few who are willing to put their life on the line to and think deeply about things and share what they have, that inspire us, that give us heart, that give us faith or whatever. We've always had that. Yeah. Now, that's what they don't want us to have for the future. And to me, when someone, wants to be a couch potato, I've used this before, they want to be a couch potato all their life. Well, I don't want their right to make that choice taken from them, even if the deep state has a better idea for how we could use their oxygen and their blood supply or whatever, because we're all looked at as material items to them. I want that freedom of choice to be there because we are in a long road of evolution, consciousness evolution, not physical evolution, consciousness evolution. And we must continue it because that is where we are in touch with the divine world. And the divine world is not mommy and daddy who will save us from the messes we get in here, unless it could be that the entire planet were endangered. And then I think there would be some sort of entry point for the divine world. Otherwise, we're here to develop free will, not just freedom, but free will. And that's why I say emotions are just weather. We need emotions a little, not as much as most people seem to do, or, women are much more prone to that. And men, maybe not enough. There's some sort of imbalance going on there. But it's really our will. Our will is what we need to take hold of and not wait for the experts to tell us what to do, not go to the doctor if we have symptoms, etc. We need to take it on ourselves to strengthen ourselves as individuals for the sake of the human race. We are not operating as persons.
Correct.
In isolation. That's what no man is an island means. It doesn't just mean no man is an island. It means what you do is going to affect all of the human race. Come on.
And what we don't do as well is going to affect
Exactly. And all it takes is not success, not that you make a lot of money and donate a bunch of, but I think Bill Gates is the poster child for making a lot of money and ending up in hell. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. I think he's already in hell. I actually don't think that's Bill Gates, by the way. But anyway. Yeah. So, it's invisible, but what you are giving or not giving has a tremendous impact, and it has to do with giving out of your own forces, not your money, not your time necessarily, it's your forces. And if you give those to humanity, who knows what can happen?
And it does not have to be somebody scientist in order to give something. Everyone can contribute to the degree that he is capable on his domain.
Yes.
That's not, everybody, every individual, from the fisherman to a scientist to a housekeeper, everybody has something good.
Yes.
Or something that can affect positively the rest.
Yes, think of the consciousness, my bringing in the idea of consciousness as an immune system.
Yeah.
think of that and consider the strength of the housekeeper keeping her house and saying in some way in her spirit or her soul, this is for humanity. You know how powerful that is? I mean, it is, because powers and principalities, the invisible world lies about us, and you send your intent. This is for humanity. That's what I do every day. Every day I do that. Otherwise, why 10 years of my life?
Correct.
I could have been doing something different.
Correct.
But I understand I have been given a task, and it is for humanity, period.
Yeah, no, and it's great that you have realized it, and we all profit or have been benefit, not profit, maybe somebody will misunderstand this word, but we have benefit from your contribution and your work.
I doubt that you're going to get profits from what I say. You're probably going to lose profits.
Spiritual profit.
Exactly. Pennies in heaven, we call it. Yeah.
English is not my first language. Okay.
You're doing fantastic.
So, but yes, I think you are right that through the history, there are few people that they have made the difference. It's not the majority, it's not the masses. The masses, unfortunately, like today, they are asleep. Some, they will be destroyed even because of that, because they have chosen to be sleeping and not do anything for the rest of their men and women. And some others are just going to stay as a sack of potatoes, as you said, and then they will just going to profit. But only few, comparing to the majority, are the ones who made the difference. And they have come from any background.
Any background.
The heroes, it can be anybody. And it's correct. I like the one what you said, the focusing. When you are doing something, you say, okay, this I'm doing for the mankind. And, I like the example of the housekeeper because, for example, we all appreciate when we have a nice and pleasant and clean environment, which the housekeeper is her job to maintain this one. And if we don't do it, it's going to be mess. If somebody else will do it like her and it's good, it's nice. So even if this person, she can, let's say, send some good energy for the mankind to keep clean and in order. When I mean clean, in order, like the space, our room, if it's in order, it's pleasant, and you can create more, you can thrive in a clean environment and in order environment than in a mess. Yeah, I think it's a great example.
Well, and we need to countermand the assumption that you make a lot of money, you're successful. I mean, just look around you at the people making a lot of money. Are they really successful? I don't think so. Not as human beings. Not as human beings at all. And do we pay for that? Are the religions right? The religions of the world? I think they are. I think we will meet justice, but perhaps not here. And if anyone who has means is listening, they really need to consider that everything here matters in the invisible worlds of the quantum dimensions, or you want to talk about it in a religious language. It doesn't matter, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, as they say, what you can see here. Remember in the electromagnetic spectrum, you can only see just a tiny bit. You can't see your impact resonating throughout the other frequencies, throughout the other frequencies of the entire solar system, the entire universe. I mean, am I being grandiose? No, not at all. I'm being insightful. And that is something that I have always known, because I had a Romanian gypsy grandmother. My Roma grandmother always knew. She raised me pretty much until I was 9. She knew there were other worlds. Yeah. Always. Yeah. So I grew up with it, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful because it's counterbalanced my tremendous intellect. I've always had a really good intellect, and I've loved it. I love ideas. I love learning. I, always do excel in college and stuff. So she helped me not end up just in my head, but to end up in my entire being.
Yes, exactly. So you have it inside you. Yeah, and it's correct. Whatever we do, it may seem insignificant, but actually it has impact. It can have big impact. Like whatever we say, the energy, this is not disappearing. The energy, our thoughts, these are traveling in the universe. It's frequency. It's traveling.
Yes.
They're not disappearing. It's reaching in frontiers that we cannot even imagine. The same with what we are doing. And I think this is tied nicely with what it says in the Bible, that the one who's a little bit faithful, he's as well in the big. Okay, it has a meaning as well that it can grow the faith big, but has the same, I think it can have the same application. And the one who is on a little bit, let's say, sinful, is as well on the big. If he will do a small sin, he can do as well a big sin later. So it has exactly this effect, that tiny choices that we are doing today, every day, this can have a big impact in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I don't know if you would like to add something more on that, but I think it's a nice closing of our discussions, which we did not went too much in the technical stuff, which I enjoyed it, but I think we should all remember at the end that our daily choices, they can impact not only our life, but the life of the mankind. We can concentrate our energy for the improvements of the mankind, and we have to raise our conscience, to be aware of our conscience, and raise it to the level that it can not only protect us, but it can benefit as well the remaining of our race against these evil forces and their minions, as I call them minions, that they have allowed themselves, or they have sold their soul in order to have some temporary profits and material things today, but they have lost everything from a spiritual level, which is much, much greater than just the very narrow material world that we
right. And I did want to say that I have compassion for those who are members of dynastic bloodline families, because they are truly in bondage to their families. I have known one of these people well, and I can say that she spent her life, the rest of her life, trying to free herself from that bondage. It's very difficult, and I have compassion for those people, but they too have their choice, and they must make their choice and stand by it. It is not a matter of saying it wasn't my fault. We all have a choice.
Exactly. I think this is important. We all have a choice. And these people, okay, they have this link, let's say, the abundance, but they have the choice. But even worse, those that they don't have anything to do with that, and then in order to benefit and enjoying some of the material things that is offered this world, then they are voluntarily going to join there. Okay, this I think they are really, I don't know, okay, I will not say lost souls, because only the God can say if it's lost or not, but it's really when somebody is willingly killing somebody, okay, the judgment is it's completely different than just an accident.
Very dangerous, yes. And for humanity to look away, as it has with pedophiles and pedophilia, to look away is a terrible thing, and the karma of that in itself is something that we're seeing now in how everything's sort of collapsing. Certainly here in America, that is true. To look the other way is no solution.
Correct. To look the other way, it's not solution. It's not nice, and it's gonna have only worse. The things that will come worse. And at the end, yes, I believe that the things they will turn better, as you said, but. Until then, I'm expecting that still we're going to see worse things happening in our planet.
Well, this is the first president in my lifetime who has made a huge effort to salvage children from the terrible pedophile blackmail system that intelligence agencies and global elites have sustained for I don't know how many hundreds of or thousands of years.
Yeah.
So this is the very first president I have ever seen do this. And for that alone, I have developed some hope for thousands of children. I wanted to say, just given that we're closing, if people want to know more about the technicalities of the geoengineering that I am known for, there are so many videos of me speaking on that,
Yes.
on radio shows, in conferences. They're all over the internet. You can find them
Yes.
easily. And we did talk a little, then my books are available on Amazon, evil Amazon, or from the publisher Feral House. And this next book will be out in the next few months. It's taking longer than I thought because of the all the thing with the lockdown, and I had to study a lot of things. And but it's all to the good, because the book it's almost everything but the kitchen sink will be in it. And then the other thing, we mentioned Sub Rosa America.
Yes.
The series is called Sub Rosa America, A Deep State History. And what it is 4 books in a fictional format so that I could be free to comment on, particularly on America, about the underbelly, the Sub Rosa, the under the rose stuff that has gone on since John Kennedy's assassination. I've mentioned many times that I had tea with Kennedy in the Rose Garden when I was 16 years old, and it had a tremendous impact on me. He had a tremendous impact on me, and then he was dead 3 months later. So I had to give speeches to community groups about my day with Kennedy, and to rooms filled with sobbing Americans who just hadn't a clue what had happened. And then I cut my teeth for research on the Kennedy assassination. Some say that you'll never know this, that, or the other. Well, believe me, we know this, that, and the other. We know it all now. So that series is very fun and power-packed with facts. A lot of, I have a 60-page bibliography of what I read in part to write those books. You can get that at my website, my blog site, elanafreeland.com. And then I have 2 Facebook sites, which are private, and you have to ask permission to join them. One is Elana Freeland, Under an Ionized Sky. That's for all items having to do with geoengineering, delivery systems, GMO foods, vaccinations, etc. And then the other one, Elana Freeland, Sub Rosa America, which have to do with everything else. And most of the COVID stuff has been moved to Sub Rosa America so that it didn't completely engulf the geoengineering site. Okay. And those are my public outlets other than emails. And I have an email address at elanafreeland.com, a proton mail address you can reach me at. And that's it.
Do you offer consultations regarding targeting, how to defend yourself for target individuals, for example, or just from the general knowledge, if they understand what's happening, how they are targeted, then they can find a way. So, I mean, the people beside the research, do you offer some consultations as well, or only related to the research about these topics?
Well, right now, I'm pretty, I'm marshaling my time to finish this book.
Yeah.
So now would not be a good time, but I always respond. I don't leave people hanging who write me at the Proton Mail site. And I have some ideas of people they could turn to get such advice. But no, I don't really give advice. My form of targeting is not the constant targeting. My form of targeting, I call it, is the message targeting. Like, they hit me and now I need to figure out why they're hitting me. What are they saying to me? In that way, it has only gone that far so far. So I'll be done with this in a few months, and then I'm going to reconnoiter and figure out how I'm going to look at the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you very much for your comments. I mean, it's very inspiring, and we just touch the surface, or let's scratch some of the things. There is, as you mentioned, we have three books related to this topic, plus the other for the series Sub Rosa America. The knowledge and the research that you have, it's unbelievable. I appreciate. I'll keep, as I mentioned to you already a few times, this raising the conscience and be aware, study the enemy, because we are in the war. Study the enemy so we can defend ourselves and protect the mankind and the earth. Yeah, of course.
Yes, and I really like your interview style. We got into some interesting places. It was more like a conversation. You've obviously done a great deal of research yourself, which I highly appreciate in an interviewer. I'm very impressed by you, Ioannis.
Thank you. My background is electronic engineering, so I have studied, let's say, I understand physics, I understand many of the things that you are mentioning. Not chemicals, I'm not chemist, but I understand engineering, I understand frequencies, yes. I know what you are talking. And then, of course, the biology and the magnetobiology, which I'm studying currently, the effect of magnetic fields and electromagnetic fields in the biology, yes. Which is, I mean, everything that we say, it makes sense because, yes, it's facts. If somebody will study it, he will come to exactly the same conclusions. Yes. Simply the people, they don't study, they are lazy, as you said, they just want to see a movie instead of read, concentrate on the books or in the, even worse, on the, in the research paper, which is, even for me, sometimes it's hard when it's a topic or a topic that I'm not aware, the terms, but I try to see the context that you mentioned in the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
Because unless we have the whole context individually, it will make no sense.
That's right.
If we start understanding how this fits with the rest, then everything is open. Then everything is clear. Yeah. Thank you, though, very much for your good words. Okay. My channel is the Aroy Mac, and I have as well an e-shop where I provide electromagnetic pulse generators to connect with the triangle or the magnet, or triangle or the buckets for the protocols of Tony Bateleresco for the Adinano devices. So I make for everyone who may want and cannot make it himself or does not have the time to make it. They can come to my shop. I have all the links in the description. Okay, so when I will publish it, probably tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be as well on an aeroplane. I have to travel, but between airports, etc., or the hotel, I think I will have finished the editing, and then I will post it to your 2 groups. As well, I will share this interview in your 2 Facebook groups, so more people they will. Those of your followers, I think they will enjoy this conversation, which it was less technical, but it went in other territories, which I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And it's necessary, I think, to see this aspect, this territory as well. To touch.
Yes, I am trying to concentrate more now on the consciousness, because people are so upset and despondent. And I want to counter that with, hey, this is just beginning. We haven't even gotten to the good part yet.
Yeah. Well, Iliana, as your grandmother was calling you, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and God bless you, and stay strong, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Blessings.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye.